Hey guys, so I'm right at the end of what's been a very hectic, I say right at the end of, I'm hoping I'm at the end of what's been an extremely hectic few weeks, but we've gotten a lot done, which is what's important. So we've managed to open the centre for the street children, which I wasn't even expecting this time last month. But it's made me want to talk about some of the tools I've used here in Tanzania. Spiritual tools are what I'm referring to. My relationship with God and how He and I work together to do what it is that I'm doing here. Now, I'm going to tell you, for those of you who have been watching, you know how it all began. I'm going to tell you the spiritual story behind it all happening as well, because during all of that going on, I thought I'd come in our shaded area of the garden. During all of that going on, there's always a background, spiritual background behind the physical stuff that you're seeing. So you all know it began with a synchronicity, I say synchronicity, with the boy called William, who was standing behind Fritzy in town, and I saw him and I said, we have to talk to him. And that night I brought him back here to live with us. This then resulted in another chance coincidence of another child called Johnny, who bumped into Rosie whilst on the streets of Moshi, and he said, Dada, which means sister, help me, I'm really hungry. Please can you help me? So naturally Rosie called us to come and get him, to bring him back here as well. So these were two chance coincidences. Now the first time with William, I saw that he was very vacant and standing doing nothing behind us whilst he was in Moshi. And I've had this myself where I feel that something takes over my mind, and people in Feather's Tale, they say it. They'll say, Dominic says it a lot, he'll say, oh, God's driving John at the moment, he's not there. I become quite vacant and distant, and I'm wandering around in a bit of a daze. And one of the most notable ones I ever had here was when a puff adder was near my dogs, and I was walking along with a flask of hot water, and I put it down in the middle of the ground and walked away to where the snake was. And Roger and Dominic watched me and they were like, what are you doing? And I didn't reply to them, and Dommy said, God's driving John. So I know this, sometimes something can influence you. If your mind's quiet enough, something can push you. And that's what I think was happening with William. So with the arrival of Johnny arrived the truth from these boys, and we started hearing, I'm not going to go into it, but about the abuse and the rape and stuff that had gone on the streets. And that brought up the question of where can they live, because they can't stay here. And one of the boys, as you will all know if you've been watching the videos, ran away. So at that point I had no way whatsoever of finding a place for him to live. My only option would have been to put him in another family's care, because strictly speaking, according to social welfare here, who I have a good relationship with, because they have signed over the children into our care quite happily, because they believe in what we're doing, I can't have a child with the background of those street boys living with disabled children. I just can't do it. And even for myself, without the Tanzanian laws and social welfare, I also can't do this. It's just not something I'd be willing to do. So I was very upset one day. This was the day Johnny had ran away. And this is the part that I find quite interesting, because this is the part of my relationship with God that I don't often speak about. Because God and I have quite a relationship where I I often get quite angry at him and his angels, and I'm very, very clear with them when I feel they're not doing as good as they can be doing. I'll tell them, you're not doing good enough, where are you? I'll tell the angels, you're being lazy, sort yourselves out. It often ends in me apologising, but this is okay to speak and commune with God and angels in that way. It's fine, they're your friends. They know we get high tempers, they know we are not perfect beings. And I get that a lot, which a lot of people will say, you can't do that, but I do that. And that day, there's a song called Spanish Train, and it's by Christopher, and it's about the devil and Jesus playing poker for the souls of the dead. And there's a line that says, look out Lord, he's going to win. And I put that song on, and because this child had gone back to the street, to the drugs, to the abuse. And I begged the angels, I said, get in his head, get around him, help him, sort him out. I know you're there, why don't you do something? I put that song on and I said, there you go. I said, that's for you guys, because you've messed this one up. I was angry. I said, he's gone and you didn't help me. I did everything I could and you never helped me. And that day you couldn't speak to me. Fritzy couldn't speak to me even, and I get this sometimes where I go very quiet and inward. And there's no communicating with me because I'm communing with Spirit, with everything I've got. And I'm calling on Spirit and any help he has to help us. So, all day I was silent and I put that song on for God and I walked away. And it was when I walked away I recorded the video that you all will have seen of me speaking about this child who ran off. Who we did get back in the end, as you know, and he lives now at the centre. But in that video I said, I'd spoken to the child and said, if I have a centre in town, will you live there? And he said, yes I will, but I can't live here with these children. Because somewhere in him he has a good heart, but somewhere in him he has this behaviour taught to him to abuse and attack people. So after my anger began to clear, I sat and I said to God, okay, I'm going to put you to the test. Now, in biblical terms, my friend, dear Christian friend of mine, calls it laying down a fleece. A story in the Bible where you lay down a fleece and one morning the ground is wet with dew and the fleece is dry. The next day the fleece is wet with dew and the ground is dry. An impossible ask, but it's a sign from God to say, okay, this is the way you need to go. This is the direction you need to head in. So I laid down my fleece. Now, I asked for a donation of £500. I said, I want a donation of a set amount, and then I know what you want me to do is open a centre for street children. I said, I don't have any means to do it, but if you do that, I'll start looking for a property and I'll start spending money that's allocated for other things on getting this sorted this week so I can move the children in. So I laid down my fleece. I said to Spirit, give me a sign. I told Fritzy what I'd done and we went to bed that night. The next morning, when I woke up, a lady, dog's fighting, a lady from the UK made a donation of £500. And this lady, just so happens, my parents spend most of their time on the other side of the country in a caravan, so where my father works. And she lives close to that caravan, would you believe? So she donated £500. And that was my go-ahead. That was my sign to say, yes, that's what you're supposed to be doing. This is something we should all do. We should all learn if we're confused or if we're not sure which way to go, if we're unsure, to lay down our fleeces, to test, to ask for a sign to show us that that's the direction we're supposed to go in. So, sure enough, I began looking for the property, and he held off and he held off. I found a lot of properties and none of them were right, and I got many signs to say don't do this and don't do that. I constantly get signs, numerological signs, I get spiritual signs with feathers, etc. And I constantly get signs. I'm going to go in next, I'll get disturbed. I'll get stopped from talking, I mean. So, he guided me persistently, and then sure enough, have you seen? That guy. Constantly get signs waylaid in my mind, sorry, very tired. To say go this way, go that way. And I constantly have a relationship with God. Whereas I tell God, today you're useless. Today you're good. Today your angels did well. Today your angels were rubbish. He's my friend. I'm not afraid to speak to him like I would speak to a friend when I'm under emotional stress and strain. Because if Fritzy says that to me, or if my team say that to me, I know I'm going to forgive them. Because I know it's just the stress of the situation. So don't be afraid to first of all ask for signs. Lay down your fleeces so as you know what he wants you to do. But also my other thing is, don't be afraid to talk to him like a friend. Don't be afraid to call him out. Don't be afraid to say this is not good enough. As it happens, while I was doing that and calling him out, I didn't send an angel, he must have sent an entourage, because he brought that boy back 20 something kilometres covered in mosquito bites to our gate the next morning. So sometimes I'm a little impatient, shall we say. But these journeys I go through, they strengthen my faith, and they show me in my own life and in the way I'm doing it that the things I read in spiritual scriptures are true, they're correct, and they are guidance, only if you use them now, as they are supposed to be used, as they are written. If you mimic that which others do within these texts, you can reap the benefits of having a relationship with God too. And those that you wish to assist in life can also reap those benefits, like the children who are now living in that centre. They wouldn't be there if I hadn't laid down the fleece, because I truly 6 weeks ago would have said, I don't have the energy at the time or the manpower to open a centre for street children. But that one donation of £500 showed me in faith that if you do it, I'm with you, so do it. So I did. So, don't be afraid to lay down a fleece, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna get off. Much love, guys. Bye.